Of everybody, 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and you get matched down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itstory@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. What? Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSory. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sory and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed, a child shall lead them.
to buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
It is a Patreon week.
It is a Patreon week. We have arrived.
We have. Bless
God. Bless God.
Yes, the party has arrived.
Let's get this party started.
Right here. All right. You always do this. Okay. Where you'll like do this like song thing, and I think that you're going to be done, so I'm like start to talk, and then you keep it going much longer than I would.
Gayness.
All right, you guys, it's an alliance stream once again. They like booked the entire week almost. Yeah, that picture was crazy.
Selfish ass alliances.
What can we say? What can
alliances.
we say? You know what? They deserve to be spoiled. Some of them have been with us for years. All right, I am just moving my list real quick here, and then we are going to get started. Hopefully all of the relevant parties have arrived.
Yes.
We're here.
Inshallah, inshallah. All right, let's go.
All right, I'm opening it up. I was trying to, keep the thing moving while it wasn't moving. Okay.
That's right, you miserable patrons.
All
we got a
right.
movie coming for you beautiful people pretty soon here.
Mm-hmm.
Director Mike is about to make his
big debut.
His debut. His return.
Mm-hmm. It's mighty return.
The return. Okay,
look,
go ahead.
Can you read this?
What? Kvelertak Mjød is the name of the song.
And let's see what the Epic Underground has to say about it. Can I get a timestamp, Vincent?
7:25. 7:25.
25.
Time for some epic metal. Go ahead.
The Epic Underground has an annual Secret Santa poll.
What is it with you people?
Everybody
and
likes
Santa?
to be giving. Where each of
Nobody
us...
Santa'd me, damn it. I wasn't included in these discussions. It's because I'm black. Go ahead.
I did get you something for Friendship Day, so...
That's true.
Where each of us is assigned another member of the Alliance to pick songs for and include in the poll. This year, we took 2 winners. The first is Norwegian black and roll band Kvelertak.
They're called Black and Roll? Is that what he called it?
Yeah, that's what he called it. Black and roll. Where did it go? Black and roll.
Wow, so it's rock and roll and black metal, okay.
And their song, which means mead. Okay, we see where this is headed.
What happened? Was it Northern Scoundrel?
Northern Scoundrel chose this
it.
song as a Secret Santa for SGS. Naturally, Northern Scoundrel has also seen this band live, so I have included his photos.
Of course! Send me these photos, damn it.
Okay.
This freaking guy, Northern Scoundrel, gets to go to literally every show on the planet. He'll put a band out, like, yeah, I was with the band. Here I am with the second cousin of the lead singer. Blah 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 blah.
Wow.
Can't stand it.
I'm
Can't stand
downloading
it.
both of them. Oh yeah, they wanted this as their stream.
The stream key. Where is it?
I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on. I'm gonna send them all to you. See, this is the thing with the timestamps. We gotta be doing it differently.
Can we start the song now?
Well, I'm sending you the pictures. I was unaware. Here you go. There's the Epic. Whoop. That's their stream key.
Okay.
Here is one of his band. He stays having fun. Okay, and then here is the second one. There you go. Colorful. Okay, so let's check out this. Northern Scoundrel chose it. I'm going to send the lyrics to Vinny. We're going to have pictures up on the screen of all the cool shows he gets to go to while the rest of us just
suffer
work.
in silence.
Just to work. Okay, here you go. I'm sending you the lyrics. Let's check it out, you guys. And the name of the song is Mead.
Look at that.
What does that mean? That means...
I put Epic up there, and we still get our cool little background. Look at that.
See, babe? Look at you.
I just replaced the Vin and Sorry Live with the Epic thing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, I know.
That's perfect.
I know.
Brilliant.
You figure that people would, be grateful to me.
They're not? Who are these people?
They don't fear me. They don't love me.
I can fear you more.
All right, let's go. All right, song numero uno.
All right,
let's
check it out.
No, not Cemetery Skyline.
Song number 1.
Song numero
Mead
uno.
is what it means.
It means what?
Mead is what the translation is. It translates to mead.
Okay.
So it's a drinking song, I believe.
There's always a drinking song. There's a little chippiness happening, so I'm just waiting for the chippiness to die before we go off and do our thingamajiggy. Okay, good. Getting rid of the chippiness.
Literally the first 2 lines. Now we're going to sing a little song. It is about alcohol. I'm
starting to worry about Scoundrel. That man has an alcohol song like every other straight. I'm starting to worry a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. Mr. Scoundrel, is there something you need to tell the group? Yeah. We are here for you.
We're here.
We are here. All right, guys, here we go. I think we've solved the chippiness problem. Dwayne's in this bitch. All right, guys, song number 1. It translates to need, according to my wife. Let's see.
No, it's not according to me.
We'll be the judge. Even Dwayne liked this song, and you know that Dwayne is an old curmudgeonly kind of individual who doesn't like death vocals. But even Dwayne had to submit to the wonder of what this band has just accomplished in the world. Of the mead. I did not know so many songs could be written in honor of alcohol.
Right.
But shout out to the big homie.
Now we're going to sing a little song. It's about alcohol. We have no such...
Obviously, like, when we meet Northern Scoundrel in real life, we're gonna have to put a couple of them
back.
We're gonna have to put a couple of them away for that man. Shout out to the homie. If you are addicted to alcohol, check out Alcoholics Anonymous, etc., etc., etc. I'm being serious about that. But the scripture says that God gave us wine to make the hearts of man glad. So shout out to Yahweh. Okay, here we go.
So that's a good gauge to know whether or not your alcohol is being used properly. Is it making you happy, or is it making you angry? Is it making you sad?
Right. And then you have to think about the effect of the people around you too. Do they like drunk you? I like drunk sorry.
I mean, drunk story's not always great, though. Sometimes you're so nice to mean drunk story. Or the sad.
I am very nice to drunk story.
Yep. Moving right along. So you just said we were going to tip a couple of back when we meet up with him. Now we're not going to?
On second thought, maybe not.
All right. Now we're going to sing a little song. It's about alcohol. We have no such texts. We want some spectrum.
I have no idea what the hell that means, bro.
That's why I made that face. I'm like, wait.
We have no such texts. We want spectrum.
But this is a translation, right?
Odin gave his heart blood. Sudden followed, notch in full. Odin kicked his ass. Okay, so his heart blood is alcohol, I guess? Like the blood of Odin's heart consists of alcohol is what it looks like.
Okay.
Because the song is an ode to alcohol, but it's also an ode to Odin. Shout out to the big homie Odin. It's really interesting. So Odin...
Wait a minute. Are they using the alcohol as a metaphor for saying it's Odin's heart blood is the alcohol, the mead?
Right.
Oh, so that's why they say sudden followed notch in full. Odin kicked his ass.
Yeah, didn't you hear?
So he drank a bunch.
Did you hear Odin get invoked all throughout the song? Odin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to the big homie Odin. That's really interesting though
Odin
about the connection between. So is Odin kind of like Bacchus? Like is he the alcohol guy too? I didn't even know that.
I didn't either. That's why I was a little bit surprised.
In Greek mythology, you had Bacchus, and he was basically the god of like alcohol-induced orgies, basically. So, when you read Spurgeon and he talks about bacchanalian revelry, that's what he's talking about. People getting drunk, going to the local bar, hey, you, come here. Stuff like that. But I do want to know, though, if Odin is credited with alcohol in the Greek system. Somebody's got to be, right?
It's interesting because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to communicate this well, but...
That probably means you won't.
Follow with me.
I will try, inshallah.
Odin... Every time that happens. Okay.
What?
Well, when I start to have the thought, and then when you keep saying another sentence, for some reason it always makes me forget what I was saying, because I start thinking about what you're saying. Anyway, okay, yeah, so Odin is... Is he the alcohol god? Is that what's happening? Did we figure that out?
I don't know.
Because,
I'm waiting. I figured Northern Scoundrel.
Let's say that he is, just based off the song. Let's say that he is. Like, the interesting nature of, like, using something that is in this worldly place to be able to say, like, okay, alcohol, oh, this makes us feel really good. Oh, so this must belong to the god. Or the god claims the alcohol.
Yeah.
But then you have Yahweh, who himself is the greatness of himself. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I am the alcohol, whatever. Like, himself is the greatness. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're not communicating it very well.
I know. That's why. But do you understand what I'm saying?
I completely understand what you're saying.
Right. That's why I was shooting it off.
But I can't communicate it well either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's move on.
With honey by the giant Sutun, his blood formed mead that gave wisdom and poetic inspiration to those who drank it. Yeah. So it's mead. So his lifeblood is mead. That's Odin.
Okay.
He's gonna light up a little hashish pinch. So he's gonna use some hash. He's gonna smoke some hash and drink some mead, and that's a good day, I think, for the for the Norwegian fellas there.
Then we're gonna F Odin's widow while we're
What?
bestowing raw riffs, pain, joints, and decadence. What is going on?
Like, I'm always trying to, like, I don't know, people might not notice this, but especially when it comes to Odin and that, like, I try to be very, very respectful of that religion.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
So...
Why? Because the people that you... Tell me why.
Well, when we first started the channel, I did not know that there were people that were, like, legitimately dedicated to...
Yeah.
Odin. Either as a reality or even as a concept. And so, I remember it was year one, I said something, and this guy jumped in the comment section, and he's like, how do you tell the difference between how can you call what we believe like mythology and whatever, but then you believe in all this crazy shit too? So like, what's the, and like, I didn't really go back and forth with him because I was like, this guy's. Then another song came on, same kind of subject matter. The guy showed up again, so I was like, oh, he's being serious. And then I looked into it. I'm like, oh shit! Like these people really believe in Odin. And then I thought to myself, well, there's nothing in my theology that says Odin's fake or weird or. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So ever since then, I've been trying to, be very, very respectful to that particular religion.
Because of that person?
I did not know that people really took it seriously like that.
I see.
I relegated it to like Greek mythology or whatever. But there's a lot of actual, real, practical as well as theological things that those folks have that, you have to respect it. So.
Yeah, you've always been like that
with.
I've never seen you mock anybody's religion though.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to, but I try to not mock anybody's grounding worldview. I just had an assumption because I came up in the Christian West about what was mythology and what was historical and like I was wrong. So I'm like, well, shit, I'm not going to go out there and disrespect these people. I'm not going to go out of my way to disrespect these people.
Yeah. Well, I think that part of the reason why some people take up mocking other religions and other ideas is because they actually don't have a logical way of breaking down the logical breakdown in the other person's argument. So then they just start mocking it because, I mean, it's much simpler to just break down the person's argument than it is to mock a way to mock them into. When I say easier, I'm saying most people are not going to be changed in their way of thinking or even look into something new because somebody mocked them into it.
Yeah.
Most people are more open to say, okay, what do you believe if we're not mocking each other and we're just logically breaking it down? Like,
no, I agree with that.
I think it's a weakness.
I agree with that. Vin has mocked me and I am religion. Dwayne is religion, he says. Okay, so that's where we're gonna...
You picked that one to mock him on!
What do you mean?
You literally mocked him on a message that he was saying that you mocked him in that message.
He said he is religion.
You know that's not what he meant?
I don't know that this is Dwayne we're talking about. What are you talking about? He could be like Fauci. Remember Fauci?
I think he's saying Vin has mocked me and my religion.
Fauci says, I am science.
Right, that's right. He did. He said, I am science.
And then he said, give me a pardon. Give science a pardon.
Give science a pardon. Okay.
Shout out to Dr. Fauci. Shout out to Dr. Fauci. I still think Trump's going to find some way to get at him, though. I ain't going to lie to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
because
those
Biden
people
let
they
him
want
out.
blood,
Yeah.
man. They're not gonna let him get away with that. All right, so you're gonna do XYZ to Odin's wife while bestowing raw riffs, pain, joints, and decadence. Look at the Kvelertak's pestilence. Hey, how did they rhyme that? That's that rhymes in English, decadence and pestilence a little bit.
Oh.
So. But they were singing in that other language, so kudos to them. Shout out to them for that. Okay, so this just looks like a party song.
I didn't know they could disrespect Odin's widow like that, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've
but
never
that's the
seen
thing, like,
that.
I don't know. They could be like, like atheists or something and not believe in any of it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's say the craziest, most blasphemous thing out there that we could possibly say. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I thoroughly enjoyed this song. I'm extremely surprised at this genre of, what do they call it? Black metal, rock metal?
Black and roll.
Black and roll. I'm very surprised, because it seems like a very fun genre.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I'm very surprised that it took us this long to get the freaking, you know what I'm saying? Like,
to listen?
To hear of this genre of music.
Oh,
I think this is the first black, and even Dwayne liked... Even Dwayne liked the crazy vocals, so...
Maybe this is more like, like when black metal people are like, you know what? Maybe they get a glimmer of hope, and this is the type of music they put on.
Odin's widow was pretty hot. Yeah, well, Vin's wife is hotter than Odin's widow. I will bet your life on it that my wife is hotter than Odin's widow or whatever she is.
Or whatever she is.
I mean, Look, man, listen, it was them European white folks that said that about your girl, bro. I didn't say that shit. Don't come after me, Odin. Plus, there's no divination against Jacob, so even if you wanted to come to me, not what happened to you. You know what it is.
Well, there you
You
go.
know what it is. You know who you work for, Odin. All right. Great live band. Third time seeing them as a warm-up for Slayer. Can you imagine? You hear this band, and then here comes Tom Araya.
That must have been fun.
Lifeless object alive. All right, what do you get the song?
9.4.
Oh, look at that. Her name was Yokadin, as in Yoko Ono. So Yoko Ono fucked up the Beatles, and then this lady fucked up Odin. See what I'm saying? Because she's her Yoke Odin. You know, Yoko.
I know. I just thought that he was making. It's Middle saying that.
Yoko.
I thought it was Dwayne. Yeah.
Yoko Din. So it's got Odin in it.
Yeah.
And Yoko in it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was pretty. That was pretty sly. I feel like Middle was waiting for like 6 years to put that out there at the right precise time. 9.3 DJ AT in this bitch. Gang.
9.3 for Vincent, 9.4 for me. We are coming right back. We've got more songs. The Epic Underground.
Underground has
Shout
just begun. Shout
to
out
our
to
people.
my nigga Odin. Good to see you, baby.
Shout out.
Huh? Well,
I guess shout out to the widow. I don't know how to do this.
I don't care about the widow. Let's go. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Commercial break.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed, a child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of, another Patreon stream. Shout out to all the patrons in this
The Epic Underground is this one, whose leader is our Chero.
Yes, sirree, Bobbert. Yes,
we have
sirree,
The
Bobbert.
Gathering next. That's a pretty more famous one, right?
The Gathering?
The
I think
Gathering?
so.
The Gathering with a song called Rescue Me.
Rescue me.
This is the second of our Secret Santa winners. The song is Rescue Me from the Dutch band The Gathering, led by the incomparable Anneke
van Giersbergen.
Thank you.
That's the girl from Morphous, right? Or no?
Okay. Kellendross picked this song as a Secret Santa for negative vibes. All right, I'm going to send you those lyrics, Vincent, and if you wouldn't mind...
Negative vibes.
Timestamp your girl.
Wait, what are we talking about?
I need the timestamp.
Timestamp? Oh, okay. Just do 30. Just do 30 flat.
Got it. Let's go.
All right, you guys ready? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, baby. The Gathering, Rescue Me, let's go. Is it a lyric video? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
All right, send me the lyrics then.
I did. Did you not get him?
got let loose. Okay, that was
The Gathering Rescue Me.
The Gathering Rescue Me. That was deep.
Yeah.
What was going on with you in that song, bruh?
I mean, I liked it. It's a style of music that I think I've like enjoyed at different points in my life. Probably one that I'm moving out of, but I still like. But like the song itself to me, and I'm not even sure that I can really match all the lyrics to kind of the thought that I had when it was going. It was sort of the, you know, as a like woman journey. Like I was listening to Florence and the Machine, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys had us review The King years ago. And there's a couple of her songs. There was a ghost one. Yeah. There was like a couple of them that we reviewed.
Only a Fortnight. That's
yeah. Yep. That one, right?
Yeah.
And like, there's like the King one where she's talking about like basically she has to do what she does, like, and she's the ruler. And there was another one that I had heard she was basically saying, like, it almost sounded like she was saying she wasn't really sure if being on the stage was actually everything she thought it was going to be. It was something like that. So it was just kind of people coming to that realization. So this song kind of reminded me of somebody like in that spot, because she started out, all I want is to be where you are. So I thought, okay, this is a relationship song. She wanted to be with the person. Mm-hmm. But then she says, wisdom will nurse you. And I was like, I mean,
such a good line.
Wisdom, like when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, so what is wisdom? And I think, like, when you think of wisdom, you think about the story of Solomon, where there was there's two women and they both had a baby. One of them rolled on her baby in the night and the baby didn't make it. The other lady, her baby was fine. So the one that killed her baby got up, switched the babies in the middle of the night because she didn't want the dead one. And so the woman woke up. She's like, oh my gosh, panicking at first. Then she's looking at the kid and she's like, that's not my kid. Like, a mom knows their baby. Well, I mean, you say that, but the kids got swapped at the hospitals all the time. But I assume in those situations it's a little different because you're seeing it, they're not swiping the baby away right off. Anyway, so she's like, they bring the baby before Solomon and they're both claiming that the baby is theirs. And so Solomon is like, okay, he had asked God for wisdom because God was like, I'll give you whatever you want. But what Solomon actually wanted was a lot of wisdom. And so God gave that to him. And he basically said, all right, he's like, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the baby in half. We're going to give you guys each half. Obviously, the real mother was like, no, let her keep the baby, let her keep the baby. But the one that wasn't the mother, she obviously didn't care about the baby in the same way. So she was like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should go with that. And then that's when Solomon knew, give the baby to the one that wanted the baby to live. But it's that line, like when everything comes down to the same thing and you find that like perfect line that basically is like wise for this situation and for this one at the same time. It's like that balanced position. And I was thinking about how, like, we talked about synchronicity.
Yeah.
And, like, how God orders the entire universe, so everything lines up perfectly. So all of our interactions with each other, you guys have all your life that's been going on, but those interactions were meant to meet at this point with us. So we were all meant to be here right here, right now, tonight, even. So when I was listening to this song, because I'm thinking about, okay, so God and the wisdom of the universe.
The hospital actually brought the wrong baby to my mom, but she knew right away it wasn't me.
That's awful.
Oh, God. That's one of the benefits of having such pretty babies. All our babies were pretty except for one. I'm not going to say who. But we could tell immediately if they try to give us some ugly. Like, take this kid back, man. Ugly. We don't make no ugly kids like that. What's wrong with you? Go ahead.
So I was thinking about like God with the wisdom of the universe and everything, and then thinking about when she said wisdom will nurse you. Like, wisdom will get you out of really foolish situations that you put yourself in, because at any point you can start acting wisely and it will start turning things around. Obviously, like, there are like extreme examples of points of no return, but like,
obviously,
without going into all of that, like, obviously most of us can start making wise decisions, but then you have to ask yourself, how am I supposed to get these wise decisions? How do I get there? Like, what if I don't know what to do in a situation? But that's where the principles of the Bible are coming really helpful. But when she's talking about it, like, it kind of gave me this feel that she was sort of at this like transition point in her life, when she's talking, like, because she uses words like, I gasp for air, where is the wear that shows on my face? So this is sort of like a woman that is like aging. And she's like, but she says, pass your sense on to me. Then she says, weigh my hands, rescue me, which I don't know what pass your sense on to me was, but it almost kind of sounded like sentence. So it was like, pass your judgment on to me. But I think that I heard it differently than what's actually written there. But then when she said, weigh my hands, rescue me, that was so beautiful, because for me, when she said weigh my hands, it was like look at what's really I'm made of, like the intentions of my heart and the things that I've been doing, and how much blood is on my hands, or what have I done with my hands? And she's saying weigh it, but then when she says weigh my hands, then she says rescue me, or weigh my hands and help me. Like, she has this understanding about herself at this point in her life that she's weak in areas, and that she has been wrong, and that her hands, like, she needs help, she needs rescuing, and that she also uses I rinse my face in water, my breath runs out in the waves. And I don't know what she meant by, like, for me, like, that I thought maybe she was meaning, it almost sounds like it's overtaking her, and she, like, it doesn't sound like it's necessarily like a good thing, but I'm a Christian, so that was water analogy. I rinse my face in water, my breath runs out in the waves, and it was just like it's the new start. Like, that's one of the things that I love too, is that there's a new start for everybody. Like, when you come in with Christ, like, everything that's before that you did, all that old stuff, like, that gets all dealt with. And then you start walking forward with God. So, like, the guilt and the everything that goes with it. So when she says, I rinse my face in water, my breath runs out, I took that as, like, she was just letting that old, whatever it was that was weighing in her hands, whatever it was that was making her gasp for air, that caused her to wear on her face, like she was leaving it under the water, letting the breath run out. But I actually think what the artist was saying, like, was it was taking over her. Like, I didn't necessarily think she was triumphant at the end, but with it being baptism, it made a triumphant ending for me.
It's interesting. It says, wisdom will nurse
I'm
you.
sorry, can I just put one more thing in there at the end? Because I don't want to forget it. Do you mind?
Go for it.
Then at the ending, the sound, what they did, it sounded like screaming almost. Like the sound that came up, then it almost sounded like this sort of like internal screaming inside of her head, and then it changed into like the sound of sirens, so then it sounded like an emergency was happening. So there was a kind of a crazy ending. I thought it definitely sounded like I said, like a negative sort of ending, but it was wild to like hear that transition. I don't know if everybody heard it like that, but that's definitely, you know, what I made of it. But go ahead, sorry.
No, ain't nothing to apologize for. It's just that, you know, where it talks about wisdom will nurse you.
Yeah.
Which makes wisdom feminine, which I thought you were gonna, you know, go Proverbs 8 with it. But in the Bible, wisdom is a female. In the book of Proverbs, you have this character called Lady Wisdom, and she goes through the streets calling the foolish, trying to get them to abandon their foolish ways. And so it's interesting here. It says wisdom will nurse you, because it's got that feminine energy. And I mean, to this day, we have wisdom in the feminine side. Philosophy, for example. Sophia.
Sophia. Yeah.
Wisdom, right? It's Philosophia, right? The love of wisdom is philosophy. So, wisdom is known biblically as an extremely high trait, a divine trait, so much so that Proverbs says that the world was created through wisdom. And so people talk about the divine masculine and divine feminine a lot. But the Bible goes a step farther and doesn't just say that there is a divine feminine, but specifically attributes certain kinds of attributes to that thing. So it doesn't just do this general, there's a divine feminine and divine masculine and woo-woo. It's like, okay, on the masculine side, you have the motif of the king, you have the motif of the warrior, like the Lord is a man of war. But then when you go to the motif of the of wisdom, it's distinctly feminine.
Yeah.
And of course, it makes a lot of sense that wisdom would be distinctly feminine, considering the job that Eve was supposed to have.
Yeah.
Which is, she was supposed to be his basically his advisor. Like when you watch Game of Thrones and things like that, and the king always has some like shifty, you know, advisor that says, don't trust this guy, he's a, you know, yada yada yada. That's the role that women are envisioned in. And so because of that, you need to be the wisest person in the room. Obviously, the king's advisor, when you're watching that show, you're like, he knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got some wisdom that the king doesn't have, and that's why the king is relying on him. And so it would make sense that if God made Eve to be, so you have King Adam, and then you have Queen Eve, but Eve's job is to advise Adam, then she would have to be, in some senses, wiser than Adam, able to look at things, because and what do you have? What do you have in the first temptation? How does the devil tempt Eve? He tempts her with more wisdom.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a big job. You guys got to gardenize the earth. It's a giant job. You're going to need some wisdom. Don't you think you need some wisdom? And so that was one of the things that motivated her to do it. And so it's really interesting that in Christianity, you almost never hear any pressure being put on women to be wise.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the church is mostly run by dudes. And, you know, dudes, you know, generally speaking, we don't want to give women anything. And we certainly don't want to have to listen to them. We want to take what the Bible says about our authority, right? And we want to emphasize that. And so That's why a lot of these dudes are so self-destructive. Like, there's so many times, like, you have wisely figured out another way to do something or whatever. Even with the channel, that there's been a million times when your wisdom has gotten us through and did things that are helpful for us. But what happens in evangelicalism, it's a dude start going, oh, we have the authority, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, great. You're dumb as a box of rocks, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've completely cut off the only... And here's the thing is, like, as you go out more and more into the world, and you go back to the Game of Thrones analogy, it's like you have very few allies on the planet. And you have very few people who are going to apply that rigorous type of thinking for your benefit without getting anything in return. And so it's really cool to be set up where your girl is your number one advisor. You can trust her because her fate and your fate are interlocked together.
That's what I was going to say. It's not about the, like, you know, they're not going to get, you know, benefits from doing it. It's about, I mean, because you do, when you're married, you both benefit off each other, and, you know, you both make each other's life more difficult in ways too as well, you know, but there's a lot of good that goes with the marriage also.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you cut off because there's a way that the masculine mind looks at the world and looks at a problem, which a lot of times people want to put that as like a fighting point. They'll be like, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or men's minds are like spaghetti and a waffle, like all those different analogies that they use. But, you know, ultimately they're meant to complement each other. They're supposed to work together. So you have the male mind that's going to evaluate a situation one way, and then a female is going to evaluate a situation a different way. So if Adam would have been doing his job in the garden, he would have evaluated the tree and said, no, we can't do any of this. Like, she evaluated the tree. She's like, this is going to make us wise. This looks like it's good for food. Like, everything was checking out for her. And she didn't actually hear God tell her herself, right? Adam told her.
The text doesn't say that. We just assume that it was Adam's job to communicate to her.
The reason why we think that is because she didn't just say we're not supposed to eat from that tree, but she said we shouldn't even touch it lest we'll die. And God never said that. So that means maybe Adam said that to her and added a little bit more because he's like, well, if she doesn't touch it, then we're guaranteed she won't eat it, or whatever. Or maybe he was worried about it. Maybe he was like, well, if it's that bad, you shouldn't even touch it. Like, I don't know. But yeah, like, everybody has their own problem solving, and so when we work that's the best we ever do, is when you bring out your stuff and I bring out my stuff and they're not the same, but we use it to, we just have to find, it's like when you're, you know, puzzles, you have to find the right sides that connect to each other, and that's what it is. Sometimes we got to just like maneuver stuff around and figure out how do our parts connect here with how we're working on this situation, because I see things one way, you see it another way. And
yeah, to Archero's point, Devorah was the only judge that was portrayed completely positively. There's no mention of Devorah's sin or anything like that. And it's funny, like, the other thing about Deborah being the only judge in the Bible was that it just introduces her. She says, yep, she was a judge of Israel. Everybody went to her. And there's no, like, look how terrible everything was that people had to be reduced to going to Devorah for direction of the entire country. You know, like, that's one of the things. Like, I have serious issues with Barack Obama, but to me, Michelle Obama was like their relationship. I have very few positive things to say about Obama and the Obamas, but their relationship. And you could tell, like, they really admire each other. And you could tell that Michelle is a powerhouse in and of herself. Like, when I see her speak, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I think Trump would have had a really, really hard time with her.
I think so too.
I think he would have had a really, really hard time with her. But I think that, like, yeah, like, that relationship to me is like, has really, to me, they've been the couple of the century, honestly, to me. The way she supported him, but the way he admires her, like, it's a beautiful thing to see. Like, no disrespect to any other president, you know. Jill Biden, to me, was more like a power-hungry, we're going to maintain power no matter what. I'm adjacent to the most powerful man in the world. I do not think that Michelle would have... If Obama's mind was that gone, I don't think Michelle would have... I think she would have collapsed the tent and said, it's not worth it, let's just go home. See what I'm saying? So, like, you know, Jill would be an example of, like, the woman taking over and being, you know, more about power than the good of your husband and your. But the Clintons, I perceive them to be two parallel tracks with the same ambitions, and they understood that they had to kind of have each other as a package deal in order to get to where they needed to get to. But Michelle and Obama seem like they get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She gets it, as far as the role and things like that. And like it's the most important relationship that a man is going to choose for. It really is.
Too. I mean,
it really is. So yeah. So shout out to them for that. Like you can admire good things in people that you disagree with, and I disagree almost on every policy with Obama. But I really admired, and his daughters were great too. But I really admired the way that those two interacted. And that's something that doesn't get played up a lot, even in our community. You know, the closest we come to is Beyonce and Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. But I just think that the way that Michelle and Obama did it was perfect. It was great. And I know that if I was the president, like, we'd be in that kind of a situation.
There's a difference, because there's the one where, like, Michelle and Barack, they had this sort of, like, honor each other, and there was no scandals, there was none of that stuff. Although there's a rumor going around that Michelle and Barack are about to get a divorce. Are you serious?
So there's that. Yeah.
Okay, well, there was no scandals then.
The middle's like, yeah, they're going to be divorced soon. So then I will put that caveat in there that yes, like that is in the ether somewhere. But at least when he was the president, it was a beautiful thing. Go ahead.
That's too bad. Yeah, so you have the... That's so bad. That's so sad. I don't wish that on anybody.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor.
Okay, so with them, let's just
What?
go.
Supposedly Barack is hooking up with Jennifer Aniston. Oh my God.
Who's that?
That'd be like the worst all time. It's a girl from Friends. She's like 55. Oh no. Barack, why? Why, Barack? Why? Oh, look. See right there. There goes Obama right there. All right. Rate the song.
Just one last thing. That I would say that, so you have the honor. It was like honor between Barack and Michelle. It seemed like they just like, there was like respect and honor for each other. But with Jay-Z and Beyonce, they have this sort of like, you know, like, I mean, he cheated on her, and then she puts out the Lemonade album. So there's sort of this like, you know what? Like, it's almost like the best that, I guess, redemption for sinners. You know what I'm saying? Like, their story. Because it's like, all right, you did sin, this is it, and now I'm going to disrespect you publicly with the Lemonade album, and like all these different things is going on. But they're like, look, but you're still my person. We're going to ride this out together. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you could see, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you want more of the honor, but.
Damn, homie. All right, what do you give it?
Crazy. I had 9.8.
9.8. I'm gonna give this one a 9.3. 9.3.
All right, you guys, we'll be right back.
We're coming right back, you beautiful people. Commercial break. We'll see you on the other side. Take it on the other side. What? You didn't like it?
I'm there.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song, listen up. There's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A Charles shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of a Patreon stream. We just got done. We found a way to go from heavy metal to Barack Obama, Jennifer Aniston, and Michelle. So
Crazy.
if you can find another channel that does that, please let me know. Please let me know.
Yes. Okay, you guys, we have Moisson Livide, la sèrp de la savette.
Moisson Livide, la sèrp de la savette. There you go.
I was going to kiss the Artique while it was here. And you moved away. Our final poll for the year.
My body, my choice.
All right. This is the Epic Underground, whose leader is Archero. He says our final poll for the year of 2024.
Of that lot, Courtney Cox would be my choice rather than any of them. Yeah, I mean, all them girls are 60 now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's over with. It's over with. Go ahead.
What is the timestamp? One even.
Yeah, just do one even.
All right. So he says, okay, so our final poll for the year of 2024 was a free-for-all where everyone could submit songs from bands in any metal genre. This is the first of the top 3 winners of that poll. They are a French band that plays a combination of black, folk, and traditional metal. This song is from their 2024 album and was chosen by Neil. The band sings in a regional French dialect called Gascon. So there are some quirks in the lyrical translation. The Serpent of Isvet. All right, let's go. I'm going to send it to you right now.
It's a song about a serpent. What about that pic? It's a song about a serpent, dear listener.
A song?
It's a song about a serpiente. Here we go. Let's check it out right now. Definitely folky.
Yep.
No, it's gas on.
That's on. Oh, gas on. Oh, yeah, no, it's a T, gas on. Yeah.
Oh, I hear the drums. Wow, man. Okay. Boy going off. Go off for the boy. Songs like this remind me of being a kid and playing Zelda.
Oh, really? Oh. Okay.
It was Zelda had that kind of vibe with it back in the day. Very folky.
Oh yeah, for sure, folky. Yeah.
What does folky mean to you?
It has that sort of
Later, Steve.
in the Shire sound.
Yeah, I might have you come on for Middle America to give us an update about all that stuff going on. Also, we have a Middle America debate coming pretty soon between myself and the big homie Applejack. think we're debating the uselessness or usefulness of electoral politics. I think.
Okay.
We'll let you know. We'll let you guys know when that's happening. Okay. All right. Go ahead. What do you got here? I thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of this song.
That's why I'm going to let you start.
Well, I mean, everybody knows where I'm at. Like, it's the instrumentation. I didn't like the lyrics. We can definitely get into, but like. We listen to such a broad scope of things that, you know, like at the end of the day for me, like the instrument of the guitar is gonna capture me for the rest of my life. The diversity of what you can do with that instrument, the fact that I can show my 3-year-old something on it, and then my friends who are in bands can show me stuff that I could never do. Like I just love that instrument. Like love it. It's one of the greatest inventions that human beings have ever come up with, in my opinion. And I gotta work on getting my aunt back and getting back into the swing of things. It'd be better for everybody around me.
I have a little spot too for it.
Excelente.
All
okay,
right.
So what was going on with you as the song was going on?
Well, I mean, when the song first started, I never turned a song so low so fast. I did not like it at all.
Really?
Yeah, I hated that vocal style so much. I ended up turning it completely down because I could still hear it from yours. I'm like, that is enough sound for me. But then...
Are you serious?
Yeah, like literally, like 6 seconds after I did that, you were like very exuberant about what you were hearing. And I mean, I could hear. So I'm like, all right, I'll turn it up more than that then. So I squeaked it up some more. And then I started getting into it myself. And then you cheered some more. And then I turned it up some more. By the end, it was decent. I mean, it wasn't like... it definitely wouldn't be on a playlist for me. But it was not like what it was going to be when it first started for me. Like, it definitely grew on me. But you seem to be blown out of the water loving it.
Well, the chorus was beautiful. The chorus is beautiful. Like there was just a really good balance of like really manipulating that guitar and really, you know, using the guitar as the sort of centerpiece. But then when it got to that soaring chorus, the guitars went to the back a little bit and the vocals just like took you somewhere. And somebody mentioned that it was like power metal, which I definitely get, like the power metal-y type chorus at least. I just don't... Power metal to me is just like too clean from the front to the back. It's just like everything is so clean, everything is so perfect. This had a little grungy metal. I mean, they were still technically proficient, but then when the chorus came in, it was just a very good like balance of instrumentation, metal vocalization, and then when you went to, and I wasn't expecting the soaring chorus, and when you get to that chorus, it's like so inspirational. It was beautiful. That's the thing that hit me about it. I don't hate power... Well, I know I do hate power metal as a genre. I'm trying to figure out which I hate more, prog or power metal. It's probably going to be prog because people keep forcing prog on me. But if people force power metal on us the way that they force prog on us, then...
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a power metal band that I've rated above like a 5, honestly. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I think you rate prog bands pretty high. So I think that's why they keep afflicting you with them, is because it's probably...
we haven't had to suffer
because you always say how bad it is.
We haven't had to suffer through a Dream Theater song in quite some time. And so
that's true.
I almost have a ticker
of... I see.
Not having to deal with the nonsense.
Okay,
so in the highlands along the peak of the Baran on the mountains, there's a giant snake. The eyes streams and the tongue like the sword. He speaks languages and all that the Kronhaven his Bohada. Okay, so...
To the sound of a rock.
Some serpent in the highlands. I don't know what the highlands are in these people's context. Somebody help me out. There's
I thought
a
it was
show...
literally the land that was higher than the other land. Is
probably.
it not?
No, there's a show called The Highlander And that's like he's got to chop the guy's head off. There can only be one. And so like they're sword warriors, and like if you kill the guy, then you get all of his powers, right? But that's the only way you can die is if you get your head chopped off. And so like these guys have been living like hundreds of years. They've buried a bunch of girlfriends, buried a bunch of best friends, but there can only be one. So at the end of every episode, he would end up fighting another sword guy, right? And then chopping the guy's head off. And then all that guy's powers, and I think some of his memories get infused into you now. So now you're way more powerful than you were before. So,
but it encourages you to keep killing.
Well, he has no choice. The highlight, it's really interesting because there's a lot of times that an episode will start and it'll be like in 1650. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're immortal until they get their heads chopped off. So you see him in the 1600s. He's got some memory, and then he comes back to modern day America in 1990.
Oh, wow.
It was a cool show.
Yeah.
It was a cool show.
I bet.
Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod. Yeah, that's how it would start. My name is Connor McLeod from the Clan McLeod. That was like how they would start the show.
Oh, okay.
And then it was like, I'm the Highlander. And then then this crazy riff came on. I am immortal. I have inside me blood of kings. Yeah, I have no rival. No one can be my equal. Oh man, it was so inspiring. When that song came on, I did this like
You're so cute.
I did this Taekwondo routine. I'm on, go, Vincent. Yeah, go. Yeah. Anyway, it was a really good memory. Shout out to my mom. Okay,
so the sound of a rock always at night like of day, the open throat, Horapava, whoever is, everything on the earth. What is this talking about? And even the Ajamis, the shepherds, the sheep, nothing could pass the desire. Brave people, all of that.
Yeah, because there's a snake. I think.
Okay,
the
so
snake,
everybody's working together to try to kill.
They're getting terrorized by this snake. Is what's happening. Is what it sounds like, because it says, brave people of the valley who have summoned the Hari, young and strong, they have chosen to kill the snake. See right there?
Yeah.
So it's a snake that's tormenting them. It's eating their sheep, whatever. And now they got somebody that they've elected somebody to go and take care of this snake and dispatch him to the next world, I think.
Okay. Under the stone, the hope, calling on the bars of iron, in the soaked Harga, 7 hard winters, this demon of the winter that will have the whole to the entrails devoured
by the whole. Yeah, like he said, like some of the translation would be a little awkward. Then the beast, Hideka, ate the metal, so he hit him with the sword, but it looks like he just ate it.
Calling on bars of iron. Were they hitting him with the iron bars? And he ate that?
Yeah. After that appeared a great lake, the happy, I'm going to assume that meant whore, with the bones that have made a church to pray to the Lord, but the rain and the hail have destroyed what's left. So it looks like they ended up killing the beast and then made a church out of its bones. Maybe.
Wow.
Is what it looks like.
Wait. With the bones they have made a church to pray to the Lord, but the rain and the hail have destroyed what was left.
Yeah, so I guess the Lord wasn't strong enough to whatever. The Highlands are known due to the clans that lived high up on the hills and mountains of Scotland. They were crazy. I see. Yeah, because the guy was Scottish in the thing. Okay, so they're I don't know if it's a mythical snake, it's a real snake, and then they sent somebody to go kill him.
But it's so big you could make a church out of him?
Well, it was a beast. They hit him with the sword. He ate the metal. Oh my God! But somehow they were able to kill him, and then they built a church out of his bones, and then time went over and washed over the church and all the rest of it.
But when they did that, it seems like when they killed him, it says a Kalhavari and the water. So after that appeared a great lake. So do you think that killing him brought
maybe that's
a lake?
His blood? Maybe the blood was the lake and the bones were the church that they built. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Okay.
But
it definitely had a folky sound to it in there.
I was listening to Jordan Peterson, and he was talking about the psychology of how serpents operate in religions. Obviously, in our religion, the serpent operates a certain way, but
it operates in two ways, which will throw you off.
Yeah, but they're all right. Agree. And there were parts of the serpentine things that Jordan Peterson is not aware of because he doesn't know very much of the Bible. He can talk about biblical passages for hours.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know a lot of the actual Bible.
Yeah. The thing is, it's wisdom. You need like God-given wisdom for some of the understanding of the things that you're reading. Like your spirit has to be open to that. Like, and I don't think he's there yet. So I don't think that he can see all of the deeper meanings.
I think when you're as educated as him, you just feel like your analytical skills that you apply to Freud and Jung and all the rest of it is going to work with the Bible. But his main contribution was to figure out what is the evolutionary sort of
gain
adaptations that got us the concept of religion in the first place.
Yeah.
So, especially when he was doing all his Bible studies and things like that, people are like, oh, he's looking at the Bible. It's like, no, like he's looking, he at the time, he viewed the Bible as a document that
Control the masses?
No, that got us the Western world, which he views as positive. And so he viewed the Bible as a collection of our evolved psychology as to how to make the world work. And so to him, it was like, this is the best collection of ideas that we evolved from based on the selection pressures around us. So, for example, the fear or the disdain or the jihad between serpents and humans, that's always been a thing, because what he talked about was, you know, when you're running away from a wildebeest, our first parents figured out, if we jump in this tree, eventually the wildebeest is going to leave. He's going to lose interest. The problem is, when you look up, there's a snake. So it's like, what do you do? And the other thing about snakes is that they're extremely mobile, but they don't have feet. And it's one of the few things that are able to move
quietly.
Right?
Yeah.
Without the ability of feet, and they're able. So in his mind, like there's an obvious benefit psychologically for the human family to have an aversion of snakes.
Yeah.
And to automatically demonize a snake because you have to kill them as soon as you see them in the ancient world. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, but if he's saying that the biblical principles were put there because we saw that this is how life can flourish the most.
No, it wasn't that he thinks that we sat and thought those things through. What he's looking at it as is he's a psychiatrist, psychologist. So you believe in evolution just like if you were a biologist. So you say, okay, we evolved, the folks that had, X amount of white blood cell count, right? Because of the surrounding society and the selection pressures, you're going to need a better immune system. So obviously the people with the better immune system are that's natural selection.
Yeah.
And so that would explain, white blood cells, whatever. Peterson is a psychologist. So he's saying, how did we evolve psychologically to promote life? Because that's the entire thing, is life will find a way. That's the big thing. So he's looking at psychology and saying, okay, how did we evolve psychologically to propagate human life and the human genome? And so he looks at religion as especially biblical religion, as the sort of like the bank of all of these refined ideas so that we could psychologically live in the world. So the aversion to snakes, for example, is obviously based on a selection pressure because snakes are subtle. You can't predict their movements, etc., etc. And so it would make sense that you would create mythology around serpents, that they're always bad, so that you kill them immediately so that you can protect the collective. So that's just one example of how he looks at so that's how he was looking at the Bible, was what are the selection pressures in the human family that created all of these archetypes that we use to navigate through the world. And so, so the entire time when Peterson was talking about God and the Bible and things like that, people were like so excited, like, it's like, no, like he's just saying since the Western world is the dominant side of the earth, since we're going to the moon and shit, while the people in the East are still on camels, what was it about the Western world that makes it so different?
Yeah.
And he rightly pointed out religion.
Yeah.
Because the religion has been the vehicle for hospitals, schools, the education system, all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And so he was looking at the Bible as a book of like a collocation of the best archetypes and the best motifs that promote human flourishing from an evolutionary perspective. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I think it's really I think that's valid. I think the Bible's more than that, but I think that's a valid way to look at it. And that's what I was thinking about, because if you think about dragons and then the guy's got to go and kill the dragon and get the girl, it's the same idea. Yeah. A dragon is just a big flying snake, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
But it's not less than that, but it's certainly a lot more.
What do you mean by that?
It's not less than what Jordan Peterson is describing. It's not less than, like the Bible, but it is more than that. Like what the Bible is and what those principles are and what they mean is more than what he believes at this point. Well,
what's interesting, it's fucking good, is that in the Western world, snakes are almost universally looked upon as negative. But on the Eastern side of the world, snakes get worshipped, etc. And that would be the argument, is that, yeah, you have religions that were pro-serpents, and now look at them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, the assumption is that the Western world is superior to the Eastern world. That's the assumption. Mm-hmm. And so that would argue for Jordan Peterson's point to say, see, everybody that embraced serpentinism is still in the old days and riding on camels.
Exactly.
And the people that killed the snakes are on the moon.
Yeah.
Supposedly. So, like,
it's
a very fascinating world. And obviously, that kind of simplistic statement I don't even know if that's racism, that's regionalism, I don't know what that is, but we're talking about, 6-7 billion people. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. But I also agree with fucking good that Jesus is compared to a serpent in the Bible. A lot of people don't I think that's where you were going with Jordan Peterson, right? Mm-hmm. Well, like he doesn't understand that Jesus is also portrayed as a serpent in the Bible. He doesn't understand that the seraphim were also basically really dragons. Mm-hmm. Really when he was seeing the cherubim in Isaiah 6, he was seeing, the cherubim are serpentine. They're serpentine beings that have wings. Mm-hmm. So there's a real sense in which Isaiah could have been seeing dragons around the throne of God that were worshiping God, etc., etc. But at minimum, the seraphim and serpents, that term is used interchangeably in the Bible, which is why when it talks about the serpent was more crafty than all the beasts of the field, etc., etc., we believe that Eve was not talking to a talking snake. She was talking to a seraphim, which snakes were derived from. That's the other thing, is that there's this idea, and really it's a Platonic idea, that what you see on the earth is just a shadow of what the real form is, right? It's Plato's forms is that you're seeing a reflection of the form of the actual thing in the other dimension, and so when you see snakes on the ground, the corollary to that in the Platonic realm would be the seraphim, and when you see
because he says you're going to go about on your belly.
Right. When you see oxen, the biblical corollary to that would be the cherubim, because the cherubim are said to look like oxen, etc., etc. And then when you see man on this platform, his heavenly counterpart is God. That's what it means to be an image bearer of God, right? So the snakes have the seraphim, the oxen have the cherubim, and then man has God, right? So Plato was right that in Plato's mind there was a realm or dimension where everything was like the thing that it actually was, but then in this world we're just seeing projections of it, hence the cave and all the rest of it, and
That's
so
wild. Wait, hence the cave?
Oh yeah, it's a Plato's thing with the cave where like people are looking at the shadow of a thing.
Oh right,
reflected
yeah.
on the cave, and then there's somebody outside the cave that's saying that's not really the thing. Here's the thing that the shadow is based off of. Like,
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so like the concept of serpents is extremely complex in the scripture, and fact is right that they're not universally looked upon as negative. The way that Jesus referred to himself that way. In actually one of the most famous passages in the whole Bible, because it's John 3:16, you know, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son.
Yeah.
Whoever believes in him should not. And then later on, a couple verses later, he says, just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness.
Yeah, that was the verse I was thinking of, yeah.
So shall we be with the Son of Man.
Yep, that's right.
So he's making a correlation between, because what happened was the children of Israel were complaining, they were being ungrateful to God, and God said, are you kidding me? I did all these miracles or whatever. He's like, you know what, fuck you guys. And then a whole bunch of serpents started coming and biting the Israelites, right? Because they're out in the wilderness. So these guys are getting snake bit cobras. I think it was Michael Heiser. These guys are getting eaten alive by cobras, right? And they're dying. And so Moses says, what are you doing, God? All these people are gonna die. What are you doing? And he says, all right, cool. Okay, here's what you do. You make a pole, and then you put a snake on it. And anybody that looks to that pole will be cured, inshallah. So thousands.
This is the story I was thinking of.
Thousands of years later, so this is you get bit. So your unbelief and your complaining gets you snake bit, and then as the venom is running through you, the only way to survive as you're blacking out is to look at a pole with a snake on it. Then thousands of years later, here's Jesus, and Jesus is saying, just like the serpent was lifted up in the wilderness, so I will be too. So he's making a correlation between himself and this serpent. And if you look at the serpent, then the venom gets neutralized. And that's what happened with Spurgeon. He was just out in the winter. He got lost in the winter or whatever. He ended up in some cold church or whatever. And there's like 5 people in the church, and the preacher was preaching his guts out to 5 people. And he said, and he was preaching in that passage. And he says, all you have to do is look to Christ. So he said, the venom of sin and all this is running through your veins, and you're dying, and you know you're dying. And he says, all you have to do is look to Christ. You don't have to do anything. Just look to him. And that was it for Spurgeon. Wow. He was saved after that. And so it's like, this is really fascinating that Jesus would compare himself to a serpent. And he says, when you're looking at me on the cross, you're looking at a serpent on the cross. Like, what?
Yeah.
And that's because the scripture says that God made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we could become the righteousness of God. That's what the scripture says. And so Jesus, in himself, there's no serpentine in him, but there's a lot of serpentine in me. And so if Jesus is going to take my place on the cross, and he, at some strange metaphysical level, becomes sin, and that's why he looks like the serpent on the cross. It's an incredible. That's why I say, like, you cannot make this person up.
I know.
The stuff that this dude said, you cannot make up, because it's so counterintuitive. What do you mean you're the serpent that we have to look at him? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think part of it, too, is like it's that Job said, though he slay me, yet will I serve him. So it's this crazy, like, even if it's at this point where this is what you're doing, I'm still coming for you, God. And then you have, you know, this situation where these people are literally dying from snake bites, but they have to look up to a snake on a pole, which sounds crazy.
Right.
But they don't understand the analogy that's going on, that in the future, that there was going to become one that was going to go onto the cross and was going to become a curse for us and die. So this is what's happening for them, but they don't really realize that that's what's going on, but they have to look up to it. And I think that I think it mimics the Christian life in that there are times where you hit a night that's so dark that you're like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe you feel confused. Maybe you feel this or that or whatever else. But you like Job, though he slay me, yet will I serve him. Or you're like those Israelites that you're like, okay, I feel like I've been bit by this snake, but I'm going to look up to this cross. Like sometimes you're like, is this possible? Like, is it possible that God himself came to this earth, became a human being, and then we killed him on a cross, and he let the whole thing happen because he wanted to be able to be the sacrifice that could forgive us forever and for all time for all the things that we do. Like, is this possible? You know what I mean? Like, these things. But then you look into that and you're like, okay, you know how there's another verse that talks about that God covers himself in darkness. Like, there is a darkness that the Almighty has, and there is a darkness that the evil forces have, and both are dark, but one dark has life in it, and one dark has it's just death.
Right.
And so I think that that's the thing. Like, the serpent that bit them caused them death, but the serpent that was on that pole looking to that was going to bring them life. And so that's the you know, we have a serpent that brings us death. We have sin that kills us, but we have a savior that went to the tree. And so, yeah, it's such a crazy concept. I remember as a kid being so stressed out that God made that type of mistake. I'm like, why did he put the snake on the pole and they have to look at it to be saved? Like, this is a mistake. I don't know why he did this. Maybe there's a lot of snakes in the desert. It became, you know, like, why?
It was so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I was at church one time, and like, it was the best series of sermons I've ever heard during Passion Week. And one of the guys got up there, and he preached like a total like 5 times in his entire career. But he said, if you want to know what sin looks like, look at Jesus on the cross. I was like,
yeah.
Not that he sinned, but
this is it.
As you're feeling the venom of sin go through your veins, like,
yeah,
whether it's you're a drug addict, whether it's all your relationships are dying, whether it's you can't get through the day without XYZ. All of us are feeling that venom somewhere go through us. And for Jesus to say, all of that is in me. I'm head to toe full of all the venom. All you got to do is look at me and I'll take some of yours too. And it's just an incredible story, and it's just a story that I'm sorry, it just can't be made up. It just can't. When have we ever seen this? The serpent is like the arch enemy, and God says, you know what? I'm gonna like come as you and beat you with your own weapon, which is sin. Like, Jesus dying on the cross is God robbing the devil with his own gun, which is like the epitome. That's the epitome of embarrassment. If you want to talk about being embarrassed, you got a gun and somebody comes in unarmed and they kill you with your own gun. Like, that's terrible. But that's exactly what God's strategy is on the cross. And that's why the scripture says that he when Jesus was on the cross, he exposed the powers and principalities to open shame. It's like Jesus is getting crucified naked under Roman power, but he is shaming, as this is happening to him, he's actually shaming the devil, because that now means that God can justly forgive me for all my serpentineness and still crush the head of the snake and be completely just.
So when it says that he put him to shame, is it like the ego of the devil where he's like basically like, I have this great plan. He's now in a flesh form. Let me kill him on the cross. Let me incite the crowd.
Yeah, he robbed you with your own gun.
Right. So that's when it says
that's
open
the
shame.
Open shame.
That's what it is. It's like, look, on the platform of the entire world.
In front of the entire universe, men, angels, seraphim, cherubim.
We got you. This is your one big plan that you've been going for all these centuries.
You've been planning for decades, and the execution of your plan resulted in the execution of you and everybody who followed you. And now for the next 2,000 to 3,000 years, you get to hear about it every single day. Like, that's real. That's real. Solid 9. What'd you give it?
6.
What'd you say?
6. Remember, I didn't really,
Yeah, that's right. You're not.
I threw in with it more because, you were here and you were excited about it.
We got one more song, dear listener. Abigail Williams. The name of the song is "Depart."
I will depart. Oh wait, depart.
I will depart. Whatever.
I will depart. Are we going right into it? Or are you playing the commercial?
No, let's just go right into it.
Okay, so we've got Abigail Williams, I Will Depart. This is the epic underground.
Dwayne said, was there a song that started this conversation? I can't remember that far back. Yeah, that's some old school Vintage Story shit. Poor people, like, what the fuck? What does this have to do with anything?
Is this a song review or a podcast? Okay, Abigail Williams, I Will Depart, Epic Underground, whose leader is Archero. We have a message from them. They said this is the second of the 3 winners of our free-for-all poll. Abigail Williams is an American black metal band, and we're chosen for this poll by SGS. All right, I am about to send this to Vincent.
SGS gets a lot of picks, huh? He's Mr. Popular.
Yeah.
Mr. Popular. All right, SGS.
Here we go. I'm sending these lyrics to you.
Okay.
There you go. And let's go check it out.
All right, guys. Here we go. Song of the night. Final song of the night. That was a very, very long discussion. Oh, yeah. Song of the night. All right, guys. Here we go. Wait. It's getting a little chippy. So let's. Yep. We got the video description timestamp. Just give me a second. Give me a second. Gute Nacht. It's coming, don't worry. Don't fear. Wave your hand like this. The review was a 10. Oh, I appreciate that, JB. We got a 10 for a review.
Nice.
Yeah, we should say this is the Jesus is a Serpent stream. That'll be historical one in Vin and Sori lore. Yes, we have seen the light paintings that you have gotten for us. Mon front. We have. Okay, can you read the introduction for
again
for this thing? Oh, you already read the introduction for it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys.
Lyrics have been sent.
Here we go. I Will Depart, Abigail.
Yes, Kai.
Williams.
They were really cool. I'd love
Let's
to
go. Kai in this bitch.
watch somebody do that sometime. The process.
Yes, Picky! right, that was the end of the song. That was pretty freaking disturbing at the end.
Yeah. I mean, it was fitting, I thought, for the...
Fittingly disturbing.
Yeah. Fittingly so.
Okay. Even innocence cannot avoid decay.
That's a crazy line, huh?
We were promised everything, take it all away, to resurrect what was left to die, fragments of failure filling hollow space. I will depart. My heart beats negative.
So wait, hold on. Right up here when he says, even innocence cannot avoid decay, I thought that was crazy because you think about, like, I think about this all the time, and I've done this ever since I was a little kid. I would always watch people transition through loss of innocence, and it was weird because I never really experienced it as myself because I was so busy watching other people. So you'd see, when I say loss of innocence, I just mean as the growing up process happens where somebody is like whimsical and young and the brightness in their eyes. And then as they would age and as they would get older and life just, goes about it. And it's really our reaction to life, I think, that ultimately really makes stuff more difficult. It's perception of things is part of it. Like, how you talk about people would try to use the N-word with you. That doesn't affect you at all. You're I don't like it, obviously, if I hear it. You know what I'm saying? But, like, yeah.
I just think it's so stupid.
But if you allowed it
that people even say something like the N-word, it sounds so juvenile. Like, are this is where we are? The N-word? Like, what?
Yeah.
Are we adults? Like,
yeah.
Okay. Like, it's so... Go ahead.
Yeah. So just like that, like watching...
Don't understand letting people have so much power over you based on some syllables. It's
yeah.
so weird to me.
Yeah.
It's weird. Go ahead.
So, like, you see that, like, and you see, like... And I really particularly would watch women because I'm going to be... as a child, I'm going to grow to be a woman. And so I was like, I don't want to be that type of a woman because look how bitter that woman is. Or look how whatever that is.
Oh, you told that lady you didn't want to die a virgin or whatever?
That's not what I said, but essentially.
That white lady in Latvia, you were like, listen, bitch, I don't want to die like you, a virgin.
I said I didn't want to. Either way,
isn't that what you said? You didn't want to be
I said I didn't want to be single and 40.
Yeah, the bitch was like 45 and shit. That was the end of it for you.
Yeah.
She kept you locked away in that little cellar.
That was it.
These people had just gotten out of the Soviet Union. Here comes this
oh my gosh.
this supermodel friggin' 19-year-old talking about, I don't want to die a virgin, bitch. Not like you.
No, I mean she went to our school, so she was from New York.
Even innocence. I had a conversation with a beautiful brother yesterday, and we were arguing about, I don't know if we were arguing. He was trying to pick my brain, I think. It was a very different kind of...
Be in the cups of the covers. I don't know where they are.
Don't worry about the cover, sweetheart. Just
okay.
get it to me. We gotta,
All right.
Thank you, honey, for the coffee. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so what were you saying?
I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna go with this. So I was having a conversation with a beautiful brother yesterday, and he was talking about that phrase. The guy showed up to Jesus and he says, "Good teacher, what should I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said, "Good. Why are you calling me good? Nobody's good but God." And he was saying, this is Jesus saying that he's not good. And I said, no. Jesus didn't say, I'm not good. What he said is, why are you calling me good? Nobody's good but God. Jesus is saying, do you know who you're talking to?
Yeah. What do you know?
Or is this just some flattery that you're going to try to use, et cetera, et cetera? And he goes, what do you mean nobody's good? And then he talked about, this guy's talked about being righteous. This guy is righteous. This right. I said, right. Who's the greatest figure in the Old Testament? And obviously that's Abraham, right? Like the when Jesus is arguing with his Jewish friends in John chapter 8, and he's saying all this stuff, and then they look at him and they say, are you saying you're greater than Abraham? Like, they didn't say, are you saying you're greater than Moses? Are you greater than Elijah? They said, are you saying you're greater than Abraham? Because Abraham was the guy. I mean, Abraham is so high that literally to this day, we say Judaism, Islam, and Christianity are Abrahamic religions. Okay?
That's true, yeah.
Which covers about, I don't know, 80% of the inhabited world. In the inhabited religious world, say it that way. people that have religions, Abraham is preeminent. I said, okay.
The accuracy.
Was Abraham righteous? Yes. Okay. How was Abraham righteous? Says, oh, he kept the law, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, because there's no law given at the time of Abraham. Genesis 15 tells us Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him for righteousness. So Abraham is righteous, and all of his children are righteous on credit. God is righteous by nature. It's not the same thing. And unless God communicates to you that righteousness, in other words, God is the omniscient one. God is the original consciousness. In order for me to have consciousness, at some level, God has to communicate, as in transfer the power of consciousness to me. The scripture says God is all powerful. If I am to have any power, or if and I mean power to open my eyelids, to have this conversation with you, God has to communicate power and energy to me in order for me to do that. Okay, then we look at a concept like goodness. Goodness is not a floating principle somewhere that everybody either hits or doesn't, and God himself is subject to. Goodness is acting like God in the world. That's what it means to be a good person, is to act like God. And that's why in the Bible, when somebody's a really good person, they're called godly. When they're a really bad person, they're called ungodly. So goodness is a divine attribute that must be communicated. And if it is not communicated in a steady stream, you will, without variance, go toward evil or being against God. And that's the reason people say, well, how in the world does a Satan character even get developed? You have a perfect world. How could he do that? It's because God decided to turn down the spigot. And if you turn down the spigot of goodness, it's going to decay. You know, I called it moral entropy, right? You know how, second law of thermodynamics. And so that line is a really deep line. Even innocence cannot avoid decay.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, goodness and innocence are not the same thing. That's the other thing. And if innocence was all you needed to be in right relationship with God, God would have never put the fruit in there. He'd have never had the fruit where he had to choose between the knowledge of good and evil.
Oh shit, don't let go. I did not know it was that hot. I'll just let you set it down.
Right. Innocence means that you're essentially a neutral. You didn't commit a crime. Right? So you say, I'm innocent. What you're saying is, I didn't commit a crime. But that's not God's standard. God's standard is not don't commit crimes. God's standard is be good. That's something you actively do in the world. And so that's the reason you have the tree. Right? If the tree wasn't there, they would be innocent and they'd always be innocent, no problem. But the tree puts them in a situation now where you have the potential to be good. Because now you're actively doing something or actively resisting something for the sake of God.
Yeah.
You're saying God is more valuable to me than the tree, the fruit, the wisdom, the whatever. God is more valuable to me than all of that. Okay, and God is saying, okay, that is goodness. So there's a difference between guilt, innocence, and goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
That opening line was really, really, really powerful if you look at it through those lenses.
Yeah.
Even innocence cannot avoid decay. We were promised everything, take it all away, to resurrect what was left to die, fragments of failure filling hollow space. I will depart. My heart beats negative as the body burns high in the deception, waiting from a nightmare half empty. Obsession with the final thrill, I will depart.
So he's obsessing about death.
Yeah, because the world that these people promised him is all a farce and a lie. We were promised everything, but then everything's taken away. To resurrect what was left to die, you see this in the political landscape, right? To resurrect what was left to die, what is that? Resurrect what was left to die, that's make America great again. Right? Because that's the narrative, and it's a very powerful narrative to certain elements in our country, which is everything was great. We were in a utopia. We were in the Garden of Eden, and then on came the gays, on came the blacks, on came the Mexicans. We got all these little snakes in our Garden of Eden, and that's the problem. That's why everybody's unhappy. So if we get rid of these snakes, we'll be happy again. See, look, We were promised everything, take it all away. And he says, fragments of failure filling hollow space, I will depart. My heart beats negative as the body burns, high on the deception walk, waking from a nightmare half empty, obsession with the final thrill. So it's spinning him into nihilism.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And all is nothing, rotting away, possession of the flesh, I face my failures, emptiness eternal. That's a good line, because instead of blaming all the people who lied to him about the utopia that they've taken away from him, he's also saying, I'm also part of the problem. I face my failures, emptiness and eternal, hollow words going nowhere, awaking, shivering cold, going nowhere, shivering cold, going nowhere.
Okay, this line, I face my failures, emptiness eternal. Like, my entire life, I know I've been a Christian all my life. I don't even know how to work that out, but I could not understand. We talk about Jesus' death on the cross, but I could not understand, like, just working it out, like your failures and them being like right in front of you and not being able to rid yourself of them. It's like, yeah, but you still did this or that thing. Yeah, but you still did it. Yeah, but you still did it. And I could not, like, I felt like it was right. And David said the same thing. He said, like, my sin is ever before me. And, like, it was tormenting. And it was crazy because I felt like I was standing, whenever I would look at my failures as a person, I felt like I was staring into this black abyss that was like...
Why gotta be a black abyss?
Because there are black holes. Okay?
Black
and
holes,
those just...
sun,
but, like, that concept of, like... standing on the edge of that and like looking into it and realizing that you can't clean to the bottom of it. So I I love cleaning stuff, and I like when I get to the end of a project, but there is no end to cleaning out the failures of your soul and the darkness that's in there. It's a bottomless pit that just gets almost blacker the more you wash it. It's like adding water to charcoal dust. It's just going to make everything just a big giant mess. So when he says, I face my failure, and then he says emptiness eternal, he is standing on the edge of that, and he's seeing that eternal emptiness that just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. But I'm telling you, when you stand on the edge of that, and you look down, and at the bottom of that, you see a cross growing from the base. It's crazy. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, like what he did, like the failures and stuff. Yep, my failures are still there. Like that didn't change. But now, like, it's almost like now when I see my failures, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did that. I gotta try to work backwards what I was, like basically you pay back your debts. In the Old Testament, if you stole from somebody, you paid them back 4 times as much. So when I'm faced with the fact that I stole from my neighbor, that's not my example, but that's the one I'm giving.
You have to let them know that you really didn't steal from
when
your
I
neighbor.
remember that, I'm like, no, you know what? That's right. Let me go bless my neighbor a little bit more here. So, but it's not because I'm trying to make up for what I've done. It's just because I'm like, I'm not empty, and I'm not standing on the empty abyss of all of my failures. Like, it is what it is. I've done what I've done. I am who I am. But Jesus Christ, that's it. Like, he's the reason I'm alive. He's the reason that I don't feel that black void. And I remember talking on the channel about when I like felt afraid of like a black void. And like, just, it was the concept of my failures and not being able to rest in like believing in faith that what happened on the cross was enough to like, is this going to clear me? Like, is the cross more clean than the dirtiness of my guilt? Is the work on the cross more powerful than the strength of the evil of my own heart? Like, it was, but when you start experiencing Jesus in that cross, you're like, oh, it's, yeah.
He says, hollow words going nowhere, awaken, shivering cold, going nowhere, shivering cold.
Yeah,
Higher forever, searching the night, cold nights, a starving child, a beaten dog, stained glass reflections, or bad memories, I will depart. The hypocritical hope lights up your eyes. Obsession is not far from sorrow. Awaken, shivering cold, hollow words going nowhere. Obsession with the final thrill.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're seeing in our culture right now, because there's definitely a cultural shift toward religion. Mm-hmm. It's just a fact. It's a cultural shift toward religion. And I think what's happening is, and social media can accelerate this, secularism is a hopeless endeavor. Human beings saying we do not need transcendence to create a utopia. We've started that project really since World War One. We're post-Enlightenment Western people. We've got technology, blah blah blah, and Nietzsche predicted World War One and Two, whatever. But like, we've had a good run at it for about 70, 80 years, where we're throwing all that stuff behind, and we're going to create a new humanity that is good and utopic without God and all the rest of it. And I think what's happening is a lot of people are like, yeah, that's not true, bruh. It's not working. And so now you've got this like religious revival happening, and I think it's great. But we paid a heavy price to get here, and there's lessons that got to be learned. But it's really interesting. It doesn't matter if I'm listening to left-wing, right-wing radio, atheists, whatever. Everybody's talking about the meaning crisis. That there's a crisis of meaning in the world, particularly in the Western world. And whoever can figure out how to get people into a meaningful reason to wake up in the morning, whoever figures that out, they're gonna win. And so it's very fascinating watching all this stuff unfold, and watching our Western culture wrestle with its. I always compare it, like modern secularists, I always compare them to teenagers that are in their parents' house. So they want all the benefits of the parents' house, but they don't want to follow any of the rules. But at the same time, they don't want to live outside their parents' house either. So it's like, they'll say fuck Christianity, blah 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 blah, but then they'll talk about their rights, as if you can have rights without theology. Not in the American system. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed with inalienable rights given to them by their Creator.
That's right. Yeah.
The Declaration of Independence was first a theological argument. The argument was, sure, God made you king. That's fine, but all of us are equal. So we have a say, because all of us are image bearers of God. You can be the king, that's fine, but we have a say too. That's theology. And so when you get this wonderful house that Western theology has created, where you have concepts like rights, which, you have the Magna Carta, and then you have the Declaration of Independence, and those two documents historically in the Roman world are responsible for what we call democracy. Both of those were inspired explicitly by Christian theology.
That's right, yeah.
It's just explicitly true. The dude that wrote the Magna Carta, we did this in the Bible, believe. The dude that wrote the Magna Carta said he felt inspired by God to write the Magna Carta. And so it's like, okay, so Christianity got you this concept of rights and equality and all the rest of it. And you're enjoying the benefits of that so much so that you assume it in your life. But then you want to say, man, screw Christianity, blah, 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 blah. Cool. But your rights also go along with it. And that's why now in Canada, if you're sick, or if you're mentally fucked up or whatever, and you're suicidal, they're not going to say, hey man, whether or not you can contribute to society, you're still valuable, you're still here, we're not going to. Now Canada will kill you. There was a guy, he had a serious mental health issue. They picked him up off the streets for the millionth time. They offered to kill him. Okay? So now what's happening is, and of course, secularists have whole swaths of human beings that they will admit are human beings that they're completely fine with killing. And so it's like, they're the teenager trying to live in the house, and what's happening is everybody else in the house is starting to come around and say, man, if you don't like it, just go. And that's what you're kind of seeing when you look at the political landscape and all these other things, is people starting to say, yeah, we've tried your way, man. Like, we've tried building the airplane 30,000 feet in the air, but you're out here telling us we don't know what a man or a woman is. And it's very hard for me to say that, because I got people that I care about that I'm extremely worried about. However, when you start bending the fabric of reality and you start training people to not see what's in front of them, there's gonna be a backlash. Because now, 50 said something crazy. He said, I'm fine with a thief, I can't deal with a liar. He said, the thief is coming for my money, the liar is coming for my reality.
Oh, wow.
So, we're kind of in this place now when we had a bunch of irresponsible teenagers that are saying, hey, we don't need to do this. We don't need to do that. We can just remix we can do anything we want. Cool. And now look at everybody. Very fundamental things as to the nature of who and what you are as a being is now up for question, and people don't know. And now we're supposed to let a 13-year-old child determine for themselves what they actually are. And everybody knows that that is insanity. And so, like, this kind of nihilism is the only logical ramification of secularism. I'm not angry at secularists. I'm not angry at, I get it. I understand the ideology. But most secularists, what they're doing is they're assuming a Christian superstructure replete with rights and definitions and all these other things. So they want the Christian superstructure, but they're not going to operate within those confines because they're liberated. And what's happening is it's like, well, if we're deconstructing the superstructure, then let's build something else. And a lot of those people don't like it. They're like, whoa, not like that. What are we doing? No, this could affect me. So yeah, that type of nihilism is inevitable. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing in the country. And, you know, thoughtful Christians, it should be like shooting fish in a barrel. We got a lot of secularist refugees who are literally refugees because there's literally no refuge in secularism because you can't pin anything to a wall.
Yeah.
The definitions keep changing. The alliances keep changing. What you're you can't say colored people, you're a racist, but you say people of color, okay, great, now you're in. It's like people don't know how to deal with that. Like, what are we doing? And so we don't have a shared reality anymore.
No, it's true, yeah.
And social media is contributing to the kind of illusory idea that everybody has a valid perspective on things because you can always find people in the hundreds that agree with you no matter how delusional or crazy you could be.
That's true.
And so you have now these little tribes. You've got millions of little tribes all across the landscape of the country. And it's like this weird dystopian situation where like people are massively loyal to their particular tribe and everything else doesn't matter. Their country, their patriotism, what? People are married to their philosophy and their internet group.
Yep.
And that's what they're most loyal to. It's not their family. It's not the country.
Yeah, I know.
It is their crew on the internet. And I'm not saying the internet in the sense of, ha, you got friends on the internet. I have friends from the internet. I'm talking about the problem with the internet is that it allows you to completely discriminate and curate your environment with only people who agree with you. And so now you've got all these little factions all throughout the world and the internet. And Trump figured that out. And he said, if I can get a bunch of these factions on my side, I'm good because they're all going to vote the same way. Because that's the other thing is like young people, especially people our age, really truly believe they're free thinkers. But you think exactly like everybody in your group.
Yeah.
Is that an accident of history, or maybe there's something to the entire the structure of the way that we're relating to each other itself. The Constitution is based more on natural law, but there's a Christian basis. Of course, the Constitution is. Look. The Establishment Clause that everybody talks about is essentially a remixing of the Virginia Constitution. Go look at the Constitution of Virginia. It talks about our Christian duty to God and to one another. It's in the Virginia Constitution. So, I thought this was a really good song to really diagnose the zeitgeist. And you know, if you're a Christian, that's one of the reasons. I mean, if you're a Christian, you should always be out there with your worldview no matter what, without apology. But now it's not even about being ashamed of Christ. It's about giving people something so that they can have some sort of an excuse for hope.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing at the end of the day. Like, when I'm hearing a lot of these artists, I'm like, people are hopeless. People are tired. People are feeling, and then I just always think of that verse that says, that Jesus says, come unto me, all you who are weak and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Rest for your souls. Like, there is a rest And, you know, like, this guy in this song said they promised me all kinds of stuff and it never came through. I'm not promising that your life is going to be easy. I'm just promising that you're going to have a cope that doesn't destroy you, and you're going to have a God that walks beside you, and you're going to have a friend that sticks closer than a brother. But your situations might not change, and you might suffer in your life.
It might get worse. I've seen that a bunch of times.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, like, man, there's something about when your spirit is no longer free floating and it's connected to the God that made it. It's just, I don't know, it's completely different.
Agree. 9.4.
I was a little disappointed about the lyrical style when it started, because it said Abigail Williams, so I was picturing it to be something really ethereal or something. Anyway, I'm going to go with a 9.
All right, dear listener, that was a good one, if I do say so myself, and I do.
And he does.
Check us out on Middle America. I'm about to do a Middle America show real quick, so much love to all you beautiful people. Everybody else, have a good night. Vin
Good night.
out.
Sorry out.
Gone.